From desks to desks, a tale of ambition and survival. The beginning, a spark in the shadows. In the late 2010s, I lived in a small, weathered apartment in Detroit, Michigan, where the air always smelled faintly of rust and desperation. My name isn't important. What matters is who I was. A 22-year-old girl, born into a family that barely scraped by. My father worked as a mechanic, his hands perpetually stained with grease, his face etched with lines of exhaustion. My mother was a seamstress, her fingers nimble but her eyes tired from years of squinting at needlework. We weren't destitute, but every month was a tightrope walk, bills paid just in time, meals stretched thin, and dreams kept at arm's length. I was beautiful, or so people told me. My chestnut hair fell in soft waves to my waist, my green eyes sharp and piercing, framed by long lashes that seemed to hold secrets I didn't yet know. My skin was fair, almost luminous, but I carried the weight of my circumstances in the slight slump of my shoulders. Beauty, however, didn't pay the bills. I was also smart, sharp-witted, quick to learn, and fiercely ambitious. I dreamed of wealth, not just for myself, but to lift my parents out of their endless struggle. I wanted to see my mother smile without worry, my father rest without pain. I worked tirelessly to fund my community college education and help my family. By day, I was a barista, the scent of coffee clinging to my clothes. By night, I waitressed at a diner, my feet aching from hours on the greasy floor. On weekends, I tutored kids, my voice patient, but my mind racing with numbers, how much I'd earned, how much I still needed. Despite my efforts, the money was never enough. Tuition, rent, groceries, it all piled up faster than I could keep up. But I refused to give up. I knew I was meant for more, the dream of fragile venture. By 2019, I had a plan. I'd start a small business, a meal delivery service for busy professionals using affordable, healthy ingredients. I'd seen the demand in Detroit, where people craved convenience but couldn't always afford it. I poured my heart into the idea, sketching logos on napkins, calculating costs in the margins of my notebooks. I needed capital, though, and I had none. Swallowing my pride, I turned to my parents. They believed in me more than I believed in myself sometimes. My mother's eyes welled with tears as she hugged me. My father's voice was gruff but proud as he said, "We'll make it work." They mortgaged our tiny house to the bank, a decision that made my stomach churn with guilt. The loan was modest, $30,000, but it was everything we had. I launched my business in early 2020, renting a small kitchen space, hiring 2 part-time cooks, and building a website myself. Orders trickled in, then grew. I felt alive, my ambition a fire that warmed me even on the coldest nights. I imagined paying off the loan, buying my parents a new home, maybe even expanding my business. For the first time, I dared to hope. The collapse COVID strikes. Then came March 2020. The world shut down as COVID-19 swept through, a silent predator that upended everything. Detroit went into lockdown. My customers, those busy professionals I'd relied on, were suddenly working from home, cooking their own meals or too scared to order delivery. Orders plummeted. My cooks quit, unable to risk exposure. I tried to pivot, offering contactless delivery, slashing prices, but the losses piled up faster than I could manage. By June, I was broke. My business folded, leaving me with $25,000 in debt on top of the loan. The bank was relentless. Notices arrived, cold and impersonal, threatening to foreclose on my parents' house. My father's face grew ashen as he read them. My mother's hands trembled as she clutched her rosary, praying for a miracle. I felt like a failure, the weight of their sacrifice crushing me. I begged the bank for an extension, my voice cracking as I explained my situation over the phone. The loan officer's tone was flat, unmoved. "We can't help you." I hung up, tears streaming down my face, my reflection in the cracked mirror showing a girl who looked far older than her 24 years. The hustle, a desperate fight. I threw myself into odd jobs, anything to keep the bank at bay. I delivered groceries, my arms aching as I hauled bags up apartment stairs. I cleaned houses, scrubbing floors until my knees bruised, the smell of bleach burning my nose. I sold handmade jewelry online, staying up late to string beads, my eyes burning from exhaustion. Every dollar went to the loan, but it wasn't enough. The bank set a deadline, December 2020. If I didn't pay, they'd take the house. I was desperate, my mind a storm of fear and determination. I couldn't let my parents lose everything because of me. One night, as I scrolled through my phone, an ad caught my eye, a discreet matchmaking service for high net worth individuals. The implication was clear: wealthy men looking for companionship, no strings attached. I hesitated, my stomach twisting at the thought, but I had no other options. I contacted the agency, my voice steady despite the shame burning in my chest. The deal, a cold arrangement. The agency arranged a meeting with a tech billionaire, a man in his late 40s known for his ventures in finance, stocks, and cryptocurrency. I'll call him Mr. V. He was tall with a lean frame and sharp features, high cheekbones, a square jaw, and gray eyes that seemed to dissect everything they saw. His dark hair was streaked with silver, giving him a distinguished air, but there was a coldness to him, a detachment that made me shiver. He wore a tailored suit, the kind that cost more than my parents' house, and his watch gleamed with understated wealth. We met at a private lounge in downtown Detroit, the kind of place I'd never set foot in before. The air smelled of leather and expensive cologne. I wore a simple black dress, the only nice thing I owned, my hair swept into a low bun to hide how nervous I was. Mr. V looked me up and down, his gaze clinical, not lustful. "You're not what I expected," he said, his voice low and precise. I wasn't sure if that was a compliment or an insult. He laid out the terms. I'd be his companion for 6 months. Dinners, events, travel if needed. In return, he'd pay me $100,000, enough to clear the loan and save my parents' house. There'd be no intimacy unless I initiated it. This was a business deal, nothing more. I agreed, my throat tight, feeling like I'd sold a piece of my soul. But I saw no other way. The dynamic, a shift in power. Over the next few months, I accompanied Mr. V to galas, charity events, and quiet dinners. I played my part well, smiling demurely, laughing at the right moments, my beauty a mask for the turmoil inside. But I wasn't just a pretty face. I listened, I learned. Mr. V was brilliant, his mind a labyrinth of strategies and calculations. He spoke of blockchain, market trends, and the future of finance with a passion that was almost contagious. I asked questions, tentative at first, then bolder. Why invest in Ethereum over Bitcoin? I'd ask. Or how do you predict market dips? He'd raise an eyebrow, surprised, then answer, his tone shifting from indifference to something resembling respect. One night, at a rooftop dinner overlooking the city, I pitched an idea, a decentralized app for small businesses to accept crypto payments. I'd been reading about blockchain in my spare time, piecing together what I'd learned from him. His eyes narrowed, but not in disdain. "That's not terrible," he said, leaning back in his chair. "You've got a mind for this. Most people I meet can't keep up." For the first time, I saw a flicker of admiration in his gaze, and it lit something in me, a spark of pride I hadn't felt in years. Mr. V began to teach me, almost reluctantly at first. He showed me how to analyze crypto markets, read white papers, and spot undervalued coins. He gave me a small role in his company, a fintech giant based in Silicon Valley, letting me work remotely on market research. I soaked up every lesson, my ambition reignited. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was learning to thrive. The psychology, a mutual respect but no love. Mr. V's perspective shifted over time. He'd initially seen me as a trophy, a beautiful girl to decorate his arm, someone beneath his intellectual level. But my intelligence challenged him. I wasn't just parroting his words, I was analyzing, questioning, contributing. He respected that, even if he'd never admit it outright. I could see it in the way he'd pause to hear my thoughts, the way he'd test me with harder questions, almost like a mentor, but there was no warmth in it. To him, I was a curiosity, a project, not a person he could love. His world was one of transactions, and I was just another deal, albeit one that surprised him. For my part, I admired his genius. Mr. V had built an empire from nothing, his mind a weapon sharper than any I'd encountered. I envied his ability to turn ideas into millions, his fearlessness in the face of risk. But I didn't love him, nor did I want to. He was a means to an end, a teacher I respected but could never trust. Our arrangement was a contract, cold and clear, and I kept my heart locked away. I'd been through too much to let emotions cloud my judgment. The aftermath, a new beginning. By mid-2021, as the world emerged from the pandemic, our arrangement ended. I'd paid off the loan, saved my parents' house, and learned enough about crypto to start investing on my own. I made my first $10,000 profit on a small Ethereum trade, a victory that felt sweeter than any I'd known. Mr. V offered me a permanent role in his company, but I declined. I wanted to build something of my own again, this time with the knowledge I'd gained. I moved to a small apartment in Chicago, a fresh start. My parents were safe, their house secure, and I saw smiles on their faces I hadn't seen in years. I was still beautiful, but now I carried myself with a quiet confidence, my green eyes no longer shadowed by desperation. I was 25, hardened by struggle, but fueled by ambition. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing. I'd never stop fighting for the wealth I'd always dreamed of. Not just for me, but for the family I'd nearly lost everything to save.
Core messages from The Miracle Journey of a Successful Woman. 1. Success begins with a burning desire. Every great achievement starts with a clearly defined, emotionally charged desire. Vague wishes lead to vague results. 2. Definiteness of purpose is essential. To succeed, one must decide exactly what they want and focus all effort toward that specific goal. 3. Faith is a catalyst for action. Believing in your ability to achieve your goal is not optional. It fuels persistence and wards off fear and doubt. 4. Enthusiasm magnetizes opportunity. Genuine enthusiasm draws people, ideas, and circumstances that support your success. It is contagious and energizing. 5. Self-discipline shapes destiny. Controlling one's thoughts, habits, and emotions is vital. Discipline turns knowledge and plans into consistent action. 6. Initiative bridges thought and action. Taking the first step, without waiting for perfect conditions, sets success in motion. 7. Imagination turns desire into strategy. Creative thinking transforms abstract dreams into workable plans and innovative solutions. 8. Persistence overcomes all obstacles. Obstacles are inevitable. What separates the successful from the defeated is the ability to keep going despite setbacks. 9. A pleasing personality opens doors. Traits like kindness, sincerity, and confidence make others want to support you. Personal magnetism matters. 10. Accurate thinking is power. Clear, logical thinking helps separate fact from opinion, truth from deception, and helps make better decisions. 11. Concentration builds momentum. Success requires focused energy on one goal. Scattered attention weakens results. 12. Teamwork multiplies potential. No one climbs alone. Harmonious collaboration with others brings insight, encouragement, and leverage. 13. Learning from adversity is a hidden advantage. Setbacks often carry within them the seed of greater opportunity, if one remains open to the lesson. 14. Success is a process, not an event. True success comes step by step, as each principle is applied consistently in daily life. 15. The ladder must be climbed with integrity. Sustainable achievement is built on honesty, fairness, and respect for others.